Hi, my name's Patty and I'm an alcoholic. Oh my gosh, you guys are in for a treat because I am an experienced speaker. I am. I have done this all of about one time. I don't remember much, but I do remember at one point my mind went blank and I had to quit. I had to stop. So hopefully that won't happen tonight. My first AA meeting was 50 years ago. And I have 4.5 years of sobriety. So when you guys hear about, some of us are slower learners than others, I think I fall into that category. I had my first drink when I was probably about 11 or 12, and immediately what I noticed was personality change. I mean, everybody noticed my personality change. And the second thing I noticed was my wanting to protect my share, making sure I got my share of that alcohol. I didn't drink again for a number of years, but when I did, it was almost like I never stopped. It was like the disease had progressed this whole time, even though I wasn't drinking. I was going to school in Russia. This was back when the Soviet Union still existed at the University of Leningrad, which now is St. Petersburg. And guess what? They had vodka in Russia. I wasn't a vodka drinker, but I quickly became a vodka drinker and alcohol throughout Europe. So when I got home, I was off and running and immediately lying about it, hiding it, stealing it, doing what we do. And right away, alcohol was making all the decisions for me, who I hung out with, who my boyfriends were, where I went to school. I got accepted at the University of Washington, but I decided to go to Washington State University because that was a party school. And alcohol also decided that I should join the Greek system because, Lord knows there's a lot of parties in the Greek system. So I did that too. And alcohol and I decided I needed to keep my grades up, have good grades, because if I didn't keep good grades, my parents would yank me out of school in a pair of seconds, and then the party would be over. So I was pretty diligent about getting good grades. If everything looked good on the outside, then nobody could question me, and that's how I was raised. If everything looked good on the outside, we're all good. But then, alcohol helped me make some bad decisions too. Like, I won't go into the numerous ones, but like, for example, telling one of my sorority sisters to F off in the middle of a fraternity exchange. She did deserve it. But the point being that if I had not been drinking, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. That's just not me. But so I got hauled in front of standards in front of the alumni for unladylike behavior. Anyhow, I continued to go. I went 3 years of pre-med at Washington State University, and my university advisor was trying desperately to get me to apply for dental school. He knew I had worked in dentistry. He knew I was interested in dentistry, but alcohol was making my decisions for me. And I knew, I could get into dental school, but could I get out? Once I get in there, could I get out? And so I gave him some lame brain excuse why I wasn't going to go, and I chose to go into dental hygiene because I thought that would be an easier out. I don't know about that because it was pretty dang intense. But I went to dental hygiene school and started to get in more trouble. And I had a couple of roommates that thought I had a problem, so they told me I needed to get help. So I went to one of those programs that taught you how to drink. If you weigh 100 pounds, you can have this many ounces, but then you have to wait this long before you have another drink. Well, needless to say, I flunked that program. So I continued to drink, and then I remember coming home during spring break with some of my party friends. And what do you do when you're party girls, right? You go find a party. So we ended up over at the University of Washington, came back intoxicated, crashed one of my parents' dinner parties, and they were not happy. My father asked my friends to leave. My father told me I could stay if I wanted to, but alcohol and I decided, because of course I'm intoxicated, that I was going to go with my friends. So I left with my friends, and we weren't too far down the road, and there's a car of guys next to us going, "You want to go party?" And of course, my friends are going, "Yeah, let's go." And I'm in the back seat now, sobering up. I mean, adrenaline will sober you up quickly. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I am in so much trouble. What did I do? My parents are going to yank me out. I'm sobbing. And my party friends are like, would you quit being a crybaby? We're supposed to be having fun. You know, that was my drinking buddies. They didn't really care about me. What they cared about was partying. And anyhow, I finished dental hygiene. I took my state boards at the University of Washington. I was going to take my national boards at the University of Oregon Health Science, and it was a 2-day grueling written exam. And my classmates had been studying for months. I mean, like at least 2 months. And I meant to study. I intended to study, but I always ended up drinking. And then there I was the day before the exam trying to get sober. And you know, it was grueling enough, but trying to be sober and trying to take this exam with a hangover and a sick stomach and a clouded head. I mean, I knew I flunked the exam. I knew I blew it. I was trying to think of an excuse to give my parents, my family, because this was going to be humiliating. And I got 90% on the exam. And I don't tell you that to brag. I tell you that because so many of us come to this program with such low self-esteem. I mean, we come here thinking we're a piece of garbage, that, you know, our life is a train wreck. Well, it may have been a train wreck, but once I got to this program, once I saw many of us get to this program and start practicing the principles of this program, I saw there was a lot of people in this program that were very accomplished, that they could just excel at just about anything they put their minds to. Whether it was art, writing. One of my very best friends, she was a single mom, homeless single mom, and she decided when she got sober to go to law school. And now she is senior partner, owns the largest percentage of her law firm. You know, I had to come here and be here a number of years before I even acknowledged to myself, yeah, I actually did pretty good on that exam. You know, maybe I am smart. Maybe I can do things. You know, maybe I can accomplish things. But I've noticed a lot of people here can do. And I wasn't at a dental hygiene school very long, and I knew the gig was up. I knew that it was all going to come crashing down. I had that vice on my head that was getting tighter and tighter. I felt that impending doom. And so I ended up checking into treatment. And to my dismay, they didn't fix me. They sobered me up. They gave me a big book, and they sent me to AA. And oh my God, now I'm in AA. I mean, I don't have alcohol, and I've never run my life. I mean, alcohol's been running my life this whole time, making all my decisions for me. I didn't know what to do. So what I did was what I was told: just go to a lot of meetings. Just go to a lot of meetings. Whatever the next indicated thing is, just do it. If it's brush your teeth, put on your pants, go to a meeting. Eat something, go to a meeting. Go to a meeting. On the weekends, I went to 2 or 3 meetings a day. And I started to make friends. I met a fellow, George. George is a great guy. We called him Banker George. There's a good story behind that, but I don't have time to tell it. And he kept saying, man, you got to meet my neighbor. You got to meet my neighbor. And I thought, well, finally, George arranged for me to meet his neighbor at the Bellevue group, which is my home group, the oldest meeting on the east side. And that's when I met my Natalie. And Natalie took me under her wing, and she became my sponsor. She became one of the greatest loves of my life. And she raised me up in this program. She taught me how to be a woman. She believed in me. She told me, she said, you are a good and honorable woman. Now act that way. And she went through the steps with me. She got me involved in service work, which is one of the greatest things that has happened to me in this program. It sounds like work, but I get way more from it than I ever give. And, you know, that's something Natalie taught me. You can't keep it unless you give it away. There's nothing that ensures immunity to from the next drink than intensive work with the alcoholic. And so I have tried to carry her legacy. Natalie was the first female trustee west of the Mississippi. She represented 14 states to GSO in New York. And one of the first conferences she told me I needed to go to, she strongly suggested I go to, was the AA 50th anniversary in Montreal. And I'm very young, and I think, well, that's an awful long ways to go. But, you know, when your sponsor strongly suggests you do something, I learned early on that that was probably something you wanted to do. So I went to this conference. There's my buddy. Hi, Chantel. And I got to witness tens of thousands of sober alcoholics having fun from all over the world, you know, this new way of living that they had discovered. And I got to see my sponsor up on the stage with the other trustees, and she was in fashion merchandise. So there was no missing her because she dressed very flamboyantly. And I got to see Lois Wilson, Bill Wilson's wife, speak, which I understand was her last public appearance. You know, and to this day, I'm still figuring out, wow, you know, all the benefits I got from following my sponsor's instructions that I thought were kind of crazy at the time. But and at that conference, my sponsor, Natalie, made the bid for the 55th anniversary to come to Seattle. And she won that bid. And so we hosted the AA 55th anniversary here in Seattle in 1990. And unfortunately, my Natalie did not make it to that convention. If you knew her, she was such a dynamic woman. She was a marathon runner. I think she was 57 or 58 when she ran in the New York Marathon. And she fell down in that race and she cut her head. She got up and she finished that race. And that was a metaphor for Natalie and Natalie's sobriety. And she was sick. And one of the things, we went to conferences all over the country, but one of the things she asked for was to go to this place in Guadalajara. It was about 50 miles out of Guadalajara up in the mountains. And she had run all the hillsides around there. It was a beautiful place, had flowers and hot springs, and she just came alive. And you should have seen the people that were attracted to her. People just started coming out of the woodwork and were attracted to her because she exuberated the joy of living. I mean, this woman is dying and she's exuberating the joy of living that she got here in this program. And I was in denial about how ill she was. And she actually died in my arms. On her deathbed, she told me that we were soulmates. And if you knew this woman, you would know what an incredible compliment that was. She was so dynamic. She was on her feet walking when she died. And even in my relapses, which I didn't have time to go into, she was my soulmate. Just like she said, she was there for me. And she would come to me in my mind's eye. I could just see her, and she'd be looking at me and smiling and nodding. You're okay. It's okay. Now get up and finish the race. And if it weren't for my Natalie, and if it weren't, I call her my Natalie. She's our Natalie. She was ours. She belonged to all of us, to this program. I just don't want her to ever be forgotten. But if it weren't for her and this program and my higher power and you people, I mean, if you guys weren't here today, you know, you're keeping me sober today. Every one of you matters. If it weren't for you guys, I don't think I would be sober. I wouldn't be sober today. So I just want to say thank you for letting me share. And Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.